Thank you for clicking on this Fun with Pete and Sherry video. I am your host, Mr. Julian, and I have a very special guest here today, Sherry Olander. Would you introduce yourself and tell my viewers? I have some viewers. I used to have a lot of them, but I still have some.
Somebody's
and
viewing this
yes,
right now.
yeah, exactly. Tell them about your whiskey blog.
So I am Sherry Olander, yes, and my blog, which has been sadly very inactive lately, but hopefully this will change everything. But it is.
Oh yes, you're on the road now. Don't worry.
It's called Scotch Song and Soul, and it's singlemaltmuse.blogspot.com. And the whole premise of my blog is that instead of trying to find the perfect partner, I'm trying to find the perfect Scotch. And I started this journey 3 years ago after meeting a lovely lad called Talisker. And then I proceeded to meet...
He's always welcome in this house.
Yes, Talisker's brother, Talisker Storm. And well, you'll just have to read the blog to figure out what happens after that.
Right, so we are cross-promoting.
Yes.
And I know you're thinking of my early days when I believe my motto was I'll cross-promote with anyone. But I am not that same man before. I'm much more selective now.
I think it's just, it's just because my name is Sherry.
Honestly, Matthew had mentioned you to me, and so we would have met even if I had not stumbled onto you. And I suppose we should give a shout out to
Scotch
Addicts on Facebook group. Really great group. I mean, fun. I'd never seen, honestly, any of the bullshit there that you get almost always everywhere on Facebook.
Yeah, every once in a while, but for the most part, it's really cool. Everyone's just all about enjoying the whiskey, and yeah, I had with a name like Sherry in a Scotch Addicts group, it's common that every once in a while someone will accidentally tag me. and
that is what I did. Someone asked me what my side project was or something. I said I have a vlog of Fun with Pete and Sherry, and I accidentally tagged Sherry Olander. Who here's the irony: I'm Fun with Pete and Sherry, and Sherry is a big fan of Pete.
Right. It all works out.
Yeah.
Yes, I am definitely have strong preferences for the Islas and the peated whiskeys.
And so for review, I thought I would do a review for really a whiskey I've wanted to review. I've probably just been putting this off just to give myself something to look forward to. But a whiskey that I think most of you will have heard of, and bring out that amazing looking bottle.
Da, 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 da.
This is Bruichladdich Octomore, the most peated whiskey in the world, and it ain't close. This is...
And it's not just any Octomore, because I've had an Octomore before.
No, that's true. I've had the 1, the 2, and the 3, and they're all amazing.
I've had the 5. That's the only one I've had. So
cool.
Yeah.
They're all amazing. This is something new. This is the Octomore 10-year-old. Now, some people say ppm 167. That is insane. I remember when they were saying Ardbeg 10-year-old was the... Where's that music coming from? When I don't want them. Start off. I mean, really, seriously, sell me some damn headphones without a clicker on them, world. I'll buy them. So, yeah, 167. Used to be out here, Ardbeg 10 was the highest peated of the standard expressions, and its ppm is 48. So
really? Oh, wow, I had no idea.
Yes, and so what they do here is, and there's a great video which I'll put a link to of Jim McEwen, the malt master.
Cool.
of Bruichladdich, explaining what they do. But so you roast your barley over a peat fire if you want to infuse it with peat flavor, your malted barley, and so it cooks. You want it roasted up so you can so you can then distill from it. If you don't want any peat flavor, you use neutral heat. Comes from like anthracite, and so you can only cook it until it's done cooking. You can't, you know, if you cook it a little long, you can get certain extra flavors.
Sure.
But still, you're in a pretty tight range. And so Jim McEwen decided, well, what if we just have the fire in one room and then pump it through a long series of tubes until it's cold, and then pump it through the malted barley. And so normally we can do this for maybe 10 minutes. Well, what if we do it for like 3 days?
Why not?
So and I think that they discovered something interesting. I think what they came up with is a serendipity. I think that they found with the oversaturation of the peat phenols does something from a very early age. This whiskey is smooth in a way that you almost never get, even in aged whiskeys.
Interesting.
It is milky, I would almost say.
Yeah.
So should we have a taste of this, or I don't know? I wanted to have I want to have a sherry whiskey here as well. You know, it is the tradition on this
Do you want
to do one a week.
Yes.
And so I got a Tomatin 18 here, and I've heard magnificent things about this. So.
Well,
And there's also the possibility that if we drink this first,
we won't be able to
our taste buds will be blown
I was
out.
gonna say, if we're gonna taste them both, then
Okay,
probably
all right.
And so I wish I had this awareness of all of the things you're talking about with the, how they've changed the process to kind of get more peat in there. When I had the 5, because I did not have any of that, but it was still delicious.
Well, Tomatin is one I'm getting more and more pleased with. I think I did a review of the Tomatin 14 port pipes, and so let's try some of the Tomatin. This is 18 Oloroso sherry, 46%. Nice. Now that color is kind of interesting. With a sherry bomb, I sort of expect a little bit redder than that. That's like an amber. Frequently that means you've got only a small number of first fill in the mix, but that can be good. That preserves the spirit flavor a little more than if you try to drench it with outside flavors. So let's see what we got here.
Thank you. Sláinte?
Sláinte. Now that is big in the red fruits. A touch of what they of what you in Scotland or you in the UK call Christmas cake.
Christmas cake. That's great. It's
but a little tangier. Some citrus, orange, and lemon, which I was not really expecting.
Definitely smell the fruity. I feel like it had this kind of unfolding though that the first scents were different, but they went away, so now I can't describe them.
I was getting more of that Christmas cake, fruit cake we might call it, but I think your Christmas cakes are actually a little different from our fruit cakes. Our fruit cakes tend to suck, for one thing.
They're just a cliche, really.
Yeah. Be careful not to bite, by the way, into the red or green things, the alleged fruit.
No.
Those are like biting into dice. The Christmas cake is a little more fading now. The orange and lemon is really strong here. It's unusual to get such a pronounced. Wow, that smells really good. All right.
Nice. Yeah, it's got a nice, really just approachable sweetness.
Yeah. Maybe a little there's a little caramel vanilla at the back end of that too. Yeah. All right. Let's give it a final test. Ooh. It's a nice round, good sweet sherry whiskey.
Yeah, it's got very different flavors than I was expecting from the nose.
You can feel the tanginess in the back of the throat, but the vanilla is a little more pronounced, sweet. Maybe a touch of the no, not really. Touch of maple syrup, and it's got an oakiness sort of as a bottom. It's milder than I might have expected, but that was the case. That was the case with the Tomatin 14 too. I think it's a sort of a trademark of the whiskey that they're not overwhelming. But for all that, there is none of the weird wine dregsy ness that you could get in a bad sherry whiskey, and that you get frankly a lot in Macallan's.
Really?
No, that is. I give this whiskey. This whiskey has what I would call one of the best things a whiskey can have, and that is the absence of any flavor you don't want.
Yeah. Yeah, it's I focus on the peated whiskeys, so tasting the I love Highlands. I generally I don't think I've met a Highland I don't like, honestly. But I have a harder time identifying the different flavors in the non-peated whiskeys.
Gotcha. And yet it's harder for most with the peat, because the peat sort of overwhelms. Now another thing with a mild whiskey like this, you often get an alcohol-y flavor, but I'm not getting that at all. I know those of you who aren't usual whiskey drinkers, that will sound insane because this is 46% alcohol, but you really shouldn't get an alcohol-y flavor in a good whiskey.
Yeah, it's a distinctly different, taste that comes across sometimes. But so I like to put a little bit of water in mine. I'm gonna go ahead.
Yes, I'm gonna have to actually catch up on
happens.
the amount of whiskey I've got in there before I join you with that. But
I usually do the nose again after adding the water.
yeah, and now I tell people no more than 10 drops per ounce, though. I tend to use about 5 drops per ounce.
Yeah, I haven't measured it, but I just tried to use a wee bit.
Yeah, I mean, you are never trying to dilute your whiskey. If you succeed in diluting it, you've ruined it. So.
Doesn't really change the nose at all.
Now, yes. Now you do hear people say you've got to wait. The water takes effect slowly. I've even heard people say 1 minute per.
I haven't heard that.
barrel.
I haven't found that with the water. I found that with just the straight whiskey, it does open up, whether or not you've added the water. But I found immediate differences after adding water.
That's true.
But
I
yeah,
think
it does
getting
progress.
I just splashed some of this in my face somehow.
You are blessed.
There's vanilla and lemon cream is now just very, very prominent. You almost wouldn't know this was a sherried whiskey. It tastes, it smells a little like one of those intense first fill bourbon barrels that, like Balvenie first 12-year-old single barrel first fill is a lemon bomb.
I don't think I've had that. I definitely haven't had that. I've only had the one. I think is it Balvenie the one that does the Caribbean cask?
Yes.
I think that's the only Balvenie I've had.
We forget you.
Definitely mellows the water.
Still still complex. There is a journey here. You got the smoothness and a little vanilla on the entry, and then you feel a nice tingle as the fruity flavors kick in. You really sort of feel them all around your mouth. It's
Yeah, it's got
That's
that
nice.
little kick at the end that is not common with the Highlands, actually. And it's not because it's not like a strong percentage alcohol. So that's because often I'll find that with like the Octomore. When I first had the Octomore, it had that, but it was because of the percentage of the alcohol. So that's not what it is. It's just got this kind of like attitude at the end.
yeah, and I'm happy at least 46. I'm running into way too many. I just did in my last review, was a Glenfiddich 18 at 43%, and I mean, once you get up into 18, you know, the discriminating Scotch drinker wants 46 or higher.
Mm-hmm.
Really, 48 would be in fact, if this were at 48, it might actually give it a little more intensity. Like I say, it's subtle, and as I've mentioned, I do not crave subtlety in my
Sure.
whiskey.
No, it's good though. I like it. I mean, you know, and from my perspective of a whiskey tasting, I'm always describing it in terms of personality, like, because I personify the scotches, right? So I like this one because it's a little bit different than your average Highland. Like it's got a little bit more attitude. It's got a little bit more personality.
It's very friendly. It's extremely accessible. This is like the personality of a Cocker Spaniel puppy.
Well, see, no, I don't want to say that because I think, well, actually, maybe so because aren't Cocker Spaniels like actually very like loyal to only one? Like they have kind of a. I think so. Yeah. So maybe I could sign on for that.
Okay. Yeah. Now, I mean, too, I would love to see something like this in a cask strength.
What are the percentages of cask strength usually?
I mean, 56 is the number that jumps to mind, but
Okay,
you can
because
get them
Octomore
over.
is
You
like-
can get them even over 60.
Oh wow, yeah.
Yes, Octomore. They were all. I think they were all slightly different. This was 56.8. So yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, you can see this is from Scotland. 700 milliliters. Oh well, that's good. It's not. They often say 70 centiliters from the UK, and I point out we don't have centiliters here, guys.
Well, I just noticed that because most bottles are 750 milliliters, right? So that's interesting. That's 700.
UK bottles are 700.
Oh, okay, yeah.
All right, I'm going to give that a rating, and it's going to be a pretty good one. 8.5.
Wow, it's pretty high.
That's for reference. Is also what I gave Ardbeg and Macallan. All right.
All right, this is a whole new ball
Are
game.
we,
now. Octomore is like.
We're ready for the main event. So I haven't heard anyone really yet comparing the 10 to the others. If there's any real, if there's a big difference, it seems to me like there's not that much difference.
Okay.
This reminds me. I mean, this is an Octomore. Octomores are far more like each other than any one of them is like anything
that
else.
makes sense.
All right, and
See now, it's funny because I love the peat and I love I do love it, but as a vegetarian, it's funny because it smells like bacon.
yeah.
That when it's heavily peated, to a certain point, it smells like bacon to me, and I'm like, it's bacon.
Yeah, I've had that too with certain scotches, and especially if they also have a little sherry, that the flavor gets really meaty. I had like Highland Parks so often
Okay.
smell and even taste a little meaty.
Huh. Yeah.
Like
Wait, I mean,
like a pineapple glazed. Oh, sorry, like a pineapple glazed ham or something like that. But yeah, definitely pork though.
So yummy.
So yeah, that is soft smoke.
So do you smell the meat that I like, or yeah?
Yeah, yeah. There is a little like like sausage and egg, like you're in the other room. And say about peaty whiskeys, it is sometimes said that the intensity of the peatiness goes down with age, and so that is why, and that is why there tends to be a tradition of serving them at a somewhat younger
Okay.
age.
Interesting.
Although I will say, at Whiskey Fest, I think it was the second year I was there. Yeah, Dr. Lumsden brought with him some bottles of a 45-year-old Ardbeg, and it was amazing. It was not only amazing, but it was still really intense. So I don't know if there's really much to that.
Yeah, I mean, and in 10 years, it's not gonna have made a difference. If especially if it.
Oh, you don't know that there are people who crave and it's like Ardbeg has special editions of serving up the they're like 3-year and 6-year because there are people that go nuts for that.
Interesting. Well, you know what it probably is? It's probably the rawness of the alcohol alone is like influencing the
Yes.
feel of this
Yeah,
of the
yes,
peat, so
exactly.
that it's not actually the peat that is mellowing, it's the alcohol.
It's the reason I like Korevrekken so much.
Uh-huh.
It's because it has that they use sort of greenish wood,
that
and it
kick
gives
to-
it
yeah.
gives it gives it that extra kick. All right, let's all I can really tell you here is that smoke, but the smoke is sweet, and the smoke smells to me like it does with Ardbeg, sort of a little like frosted sugar, or frosted flakes.
It's it. Salty bacon to me. I don't know. Sweet, but I mean, I think it's funny because, like I said, as a vegetarian, it's like my interpretation of meat is very different these days. But I think it does have a sweetness to it.
Mm-hmm. All right, let's see what we
All
get
right.
here. A lot of intensity. So much smoke in that one.
I didn't get a lot of the smoke until the end. Actually, like I got a lot of sweetness up front, and then it was like a breeze. It was like walking through smoke of a fire. But it's good.
Does have that beautiful feel, that beautiful mouthfeel, especially for 57% alcohol. Is just really like milky texture.
Mm-hmm. I must feel like there's a little bit of apple-y flavor. Maybe I'm still thinking about the bacon.
I don't know. I am really getting this. This to me is what is the one that is the Octomore I've had that feels the smokiest. Not necessarily the most intense. I feel like the peat can express itself in a number of ways,
I agree.
and
I agree.
here it's expressing itself as like a literal smoke.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Delicious, that one, magnificent, and I could say this is one that that a little bit of whiskey will go a long way. It's like I doing a review now, but if I were just nursing this, I could nurse this for maybe 40 minutes because there's no real need to have another sip right away.
Right.
You're still experiencing that. I'm going to be experiencing that for 10 minutes.
Yeah.
Woo!
I mean, that's one of. I think that's probably why I like the peated whiskeys better, because I like them to linger.
Yeah.
And that's interesting that you noticed that about the Talisker.
Uh-huh.
I had never noticed that, but that's probably why it's. And honestly, like, I mean, it's been a while since I've had, and it was the Octomore 5. But I really liked it. I don't remember if I've ever did a side by side with the Octomore and the Talisker. There's definitely something to the Talisker that is not in here.
Oh yes.
But I like a lot of things about this whiskey.
Yeah. And as
I
said,
gotta add a little bit of water.
yeah, something interesting is that I've given this to on a couple of occasions to people who were not fans of peat whiskey,
No, why would you do that?
who liked it quite a bit.
What?
Mm-hmm. Because and it's I think it's because in the other Octomores I had, this was more the case where that extra peatiness more expressed itself in texture than in flavor.
Yeah. Interesting. Yeah, see, the water usually takes the bacon out of it for me, but it leaves the peat. You know, I can just smell the smoke for what it is. Like,
yeah, I would love to leave this too for like 1 hour, 2 hours, 3 hours with the water in it, and because I've heard from Ralphie, and I'm not going to hide the fact is, that I almost everything I know I learned from him. You know that it continues to change.
Yeah, no, I absolutely agree that, and that's part of the reason why I like the ones that you don't need to sip right away again, because they do progress. Like, the conversation changes as you sit with them, where if you know, like with the Highlands and the other regions whiskeys, nothing really changes as much. You know, for me, I haven't found they change as much.
Yeah, although I'm already getting some new additions here. Walnuts, like walnuts in honey.
I'm allergic to walnuts, so that means nothing to me.
Put it down. It's really walnutty. Nuttiness almost always increases after a little water. I don't even know if it's something if nuttiness is what other people call that.
I see that. I've called it that before. Yeah, and I'm still at the stage where I can recognize the different scents and flavors, but I don't have words for all of them yet. So it's hard because it's like, oh, that one. But there's no way to convey that. And,
yes.
You know.
And I think people who do this stuff, there are many that kind of come together, and there also every individual has some. And and when I tell people to feel free in the way they express themselves, I point out the fact that this is all impressionistic.
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, that's one of the reasons why I love Scotch so much, because it is completely up to your interpretation. Like, you can have two people, two whiskeys, and, have completely different impressions of them.
Yes.
And it's such a personal experience.
All right, let's see what we got here.
I'm enjoying the smell of it.
Yeah, I know.
I don't want to taste it. I'm enjoying it.
So, like this is the sort of whiskey that you could continue to pass around an empty glass and enjoy smelling it for an hour or more. Yeah. I like the change a lot. I am getting where I thought on the initial I thought it was pretty one note. This has got some on the palate, grain and brown sugar, which is really what you get in like a typical, like in a standard Bruichladdich, and then in addition to the smoke, so it's got a much more full flavor.
I found that and I think that's just kind of how it works. The higher percentage alcohols tend to benefit more from the water. At adding, it allows them to open up.
I agree. Well, the lower ones, I would phrase it differently. In that the lower ones are in much greater danger of dissolution and being drowned. But I caution people, just because you have a 56, say you have a 60% whiskey, do not try to dilute it down to 40%. That will drown it. Even if it could have been, that's not how it works.
There's a
So-
reason they bottled it at 56%. Like, yeah.
Oh, now I was getting a little fruitiness, which was maybe the one thing this was lacking before. So anyway, this whiskey, for people who've never had an Octomore, bring it out, and it is really something. It is a conversation piece. It is a curiosity, in addition to being a great whiskey. Mm-hmm. It absolutely stands alone in a way I can't think of any other Scotch.
Yeah.
It just absolutely stands alone. It's almost like this bottle is meant to say that. Like,
Well, that's the thing I was thinking. It's in the bottling. It clearly is trying. It's making the unique. I am unique is the message.
Anyway, digression. We can cut all that out. So anyway, great whiskey. I'm not giving it an off the hook rating because it just it's magical in some ways, but and this is the first Octomore I maybe thought was not quite balanced as well as the others. This one is one that I think a lot of people might taste and think, yeah, you're being smoky just to do it, right? You know, whereas the others felt like they were really more. It was all part of a seamless creation. So maybe. But I mean, but if smoke is your thing, then don't worry at all. This you'll like this a lot. I'll give this an 8.7.
Oh wow. Wait, so this is higher than the Tomatin even?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I was thinking it might make it into the 9
I see.
range. I gave this guy a 9 point.
Yeah, there's a lot going on.
So.
But not a Scotch, so.
Not a Scotch, no. But I never worried about that too much.
There is a bitterness to the Octomore that I'm sensing that I didn't. I don't remember. It's been too long since I've tasted the 5 years, so I don't remember what my kind of impressions of it. I liked it for sure, and there was that intense smoke and that strength, but yeah. So there's a little bit of bitterness that isn't bad. It doesn't make me not like it, but it's just I'm just noticing.
Yeah. It's Yes, like about halfway through a mouthful, sometimes I feel like, okay, you've made your point.